What is cracking, guys? In this one I'm going to be putting fork boots back on my Softail Street Bob. I'm going to be cleaning my air cleaner, and I'm also going to flip my mirrors. So let's get to it. So the first thing I'll do is take the air cleaner off and clean it, because it will take the longest to dry. So whilst it's drying, I'll be able to do everything else. So what I'll be using to clean the air filter is this K&N air cleaner kit. So it comes with air filter cleaner and also some air filter oil. So you may have seen online, a lot of people say don't oil the Screaming Eagle air cleaners because they're paper elements. Well, this one isn't, it's a cotton element and it comes oiled from the factory. So you can obviously clean this and re-oil it. So let's get to it. So if you're not a yobbo or a bogan like myself, you'll put some gloves on when you're spraying this stuff on, because it's probably not good for your skin. So I'm just going to sit that there for a couple of minutes, and once it's soaked through, I'll just get a hose and I'll rinse the air filter element out into the bucket. Alrighty, so the oil filter's been sitting for about 10 minutes with the oil filter cleaner on it. So now I'm just going to get a hose and rinse it through from the inside. So I'm pretty happy with that now, and I'm just going to shake it off as recommended in the manual and sit it in the sun to dry. And then once it's dry, I'll oil it. And in the meantime, let's take my front wheel off and put these new fork boots on. So the first thing I have to do is take off the fairing. Then I have to take my fairing brackets off. So the reason why I'm going to take the forks off is because it's near impossible to get this boot over the bottom of it and over the caliper bracket there and then slide them up. So it's easier just to slide these off and then slide them over the top. So that's why I'm going to take the forks off. So the fork boots that I got are just ones off Amazon. They're obviously not the factory ones, but I actually prefer the look of these ones as they've got a few more humps, if you call them. So I don't know, I just prefer the look of these ones. Alrighty, so the service manual calls for the torque specs for the bottom pinch mount bolts to be 20 Newton meters and the top one's 34 Newton meters. So I've got a torque wrench here which goes up to 20 Newton meters, and then I have to use my larger one to do the top ones at 34 Newton meters. And while I'm at it, I'm just going to put some grease on the axle. So now I'm going to cut this gloss black vinyl wrap to go over the top of the forks, and to do that I need to measure it at 16 centimeters by 16 centimeters. Alrighty, let's whack them on the bike. So the next thing to do is to whack some zip ties at the top of the fork boots, just to stop them from sliding down. Alrighty, so now that the filter's nice and dry, I'm going to oil it. Alrighty, that's well oiled. So you're probably thinking that pink looks absolutely terrible, but when these Screaming Eagle air filters come from the factory, they look pink as well. So the factory uses a similar oil in colour, as I said, they come pink from the factory. So with the Aussie model Softail street bobs, you need to purchase this separate bracket for the right hand side of the handlebars, as this bracket is only on the clutch side, and this little bracket has the mirror go through that hole there and the blinker screw on that thread there, whereas on the right hand side, being the brake lever side, it doesn't have that. It just has the mirror go straight through and into the blinker. So I had to buy this bracket in order for me to be able to flip both mirrors. So as I was explaining before, the right hand side is different from the left hand side on these Aussie models, and that's because the right hand side has this bung which goes on and the blinker screws onto that thread. Alrighty, so for the right hand side I put this bracket on, followed by the mirror, followed by a washer, then the dome nut. Alrighty, so now that the mirrors are flipped, the fork boots are on and the air cleaner is clean, there's one more thing I want to do, and that's put a protective wax over my brand new Slipstream seat. So the protective wax that I'm going to be putting on my Slipstream seat is from Blue Collar Bobbers, and I believe this is a beeswax. And the purpose of putting this on there is for extra protection and waterproofing. So when you wash your bike, usually water will get through all the stitching. So if you put a protective wax over your seat, obviously you won't have water seep through the stitching and it won't go onto the foam and cause rotting. So this stuff is also really good just for conditioning the leather. So it keeps the leather nice and soft and the leather won't crack. It'll keep it nice and moist. It'll keep it nice and moist where it's not going to crack and it's just going to last for a lot longer. So what I'm going to do is just put this beeswax over my seat. And voila, done. Alrighty, so that's just about going to do it for this one. I gotta say, I'm absolutely filthy. Probably wasn't the smartest idea wearing a white shirt whilst working on the bike, but moving on. I gotta say, I do prefer the look of the mirrors flipped. They don't look as big and bulky and as daggy as what they did coming factory stock. Another thing, I don't know how well I'm going to be able to see out of those mirrors, but in the future I'll do a review on the mirrors flipped and how visible it is when riding. Another thing I'll say is I much prefer the look of those fork boots over the factory Harley Davidson Softail Street Bob fork boots, although I do prefer forks without fork boots. I just think they look a hell of a lot better. I'm sure there's going to be people out there saying, mate, I can't believe you cut the stock ones off just to whack those ones back on because you had to take the whole front end off your bike, but hey, live and learn. The reason why I put the fork boots back on the bike is because I was getting pitting on my forks, and that's just because of the harsh country roads out here, from road debris, dust, rocks. I was noticing that I was getting scratches on those forks, so I just wanted to go with a extra safety measure and put those fork boots back on the bike. Anyway, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks very much for watching, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.